welcome to another episode of Conversation with a Chef. I'm Jo Ritty and I love sharing with you the conversations I get to have with talented and passionate chefs. It's the backstory, if you will, to the food they're putting up. I begin today by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, traditional custodians of the lands and airwaves where this conversation takes place. Land which was never ceded. Land where communities came together to eat seasonally, locally and without exhausting resources. I pay my respects to their elders past, present and rising. Today I'm talking to camp oven guru Ranger Nick. Ranger Nick is a celebrity TV cook on Channel 7 Mates Step Outside with Paul Burt. He holds a Guinness Book world record for the longest damper, is the creator of curry kits, and he's recently been recognised as a finalist in the environmental business category of the 2023 Australian Small Business Champion Awards. While he doesn't reckon he'll make it to the Sydney Star Casino event in late April, Ranger Nick is pretty chuffed to have been nominated and named a finalist. Living off-grid and travelling all over Australia to educate outdoor enthusiasts and school students about bush cooking and environmental etiquette, Ranger Nick has more than a few stories to tell. We talked about how to control the heat in the fire, roasting silverside, cooking damper, and the best way to look after your cast iron camp oven. I learned so much, and I can't wait to get into the bush at Easter to try out some of his tips. Ranger Nick has an infectious laugh, and he certainly put me through my paces, quizzing me on my cooking knowledge. This was such a great chat, and I wish him all the best at the awards.
Hello.
Hi, is that Ranger Nick?
Yes, Joe. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you doing?
Oh, yeah, just having a bit of a spell. It was a pretty big day.
How have you? What have you been doing today?
Oh, late night last night, getting things organised. But yeah, we've been at the Yamba market. 4 o'clock start from here, so
Wow, okay, that is early.
yeah.
And how did it go?
Yeah, it's a little bit quiet this time of the year. I think that's pretty common for business, you know. So it is starting to pick up. Hopefully before Easter and that, we'll get a few holiday makers and pick things up for everyone. So
Yeah, so is it a big market?
yeah, they're the like Yamba Riverside markets that we went to this morning. It's a monthly market.
Great. Well, I wanted to start off too by saying congratulations on being a finalist in the environmental business category of the Australia Small Business Awards. That's a bit of a mouthful, but that's really amazing. And what led up to that for you?
Well, there was a nomination, which was the first sort of any implication that I had anything to do with it, and then the next thing I knew about it, we were in the finals. So
Yeah.
basically, yeah, they just contacted me and let me know about all that, and yeah, it's very, very surprising. But we've done, over the years, we've been certainly busy with all of the different shows and expos and all that sort of thing, up until the 5-letter C word, let's say, and all the ups and downs over the last 2 or 3 years, because the entertainment industry just hit a wall, bang.
Yes.
So up until then, we were flat out busy. We were doing 25, 30 gigs a year, and that took us from one end of Australia to the other, of course.
Wow.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of travel, but a lot of fun on the road, of course. Sort of, I don't know, I guess I look at it a bit like getting paid to play.
I have watched some of the videos of you entertaining, but it's very educational as well as funny. You are very entertaining, but you're sharing a message with people and helping them to learn, I guess, how to cook simply in the outdoors. Is that what it is?
Yeah, mostly. That's kind of the focus is camp cooking, camp ovens. Like there's a I don't know whether it's art or how to quite explain it, but it's certainly hit in a big way. A lot of people have taken it up and started realising the benefits of it. And while you've got a fire going camping, it certainly takes a lot of don't know, a lot of the stress, I guess, away because you don't spend a lot of time hanging around a kitchen. It's, set and forget type techniques, focusing on camp ovens and cast iron. I love cast iron. It's just beautiful stuff to cook with, and a very healthy surface as well to cook and eat from. I guess the main focus is that, how to control heat and things like that. People make it, getting a bit of flap about it, I suppose, but I try to get it into people's heads that it's not something to get wound up over or a big deal at all. It's just about learning that heat source.
Yeah, that is interesting because we do a bit of camping, my partner and I, and we do have a camp oven, but I feel like we're a bit hit and miss with how successful we are. What are some top tips for handling the heat?
Yeah. Look, a common thing is people say, it's all trial and error, and you finally work it all out. But probably the biggest tip is don't stress out over it. There's certainly nothing to stress over. And have someone else to blame, I guess, is a good idea. So you got your partner to blame it all on.
Yes.
But look, one of the biggest tips I can give anybody is learn about that heat source. If we go back to the years where the newlywed bride got dragged out onto a station, shoved in front of a combustion stove, an old wood stove, and she burnt the bottom out of every single pot. Just made a mess of everything. But over time, and I can tell you, I've had some of the most wonderful meals out of country kitchens that, the food's just amazing. She got good at it. And then they introduced electricity. So everyone had to have an electric stove. Well, guess what happened to all her pots again? Yeah, so, and then we had gas, and now we have induction. But every kitchen, it seems to, with the new heat source, you have to get used to that heat source. So once you can identify what your coals are going to do, so keeping in mind that there are different timbers that burn different heats, hold coals differently. Once you get familiar with that heat source, it takes all the guesswork away. Does that make sense to you, Joe?
Absolutely, it does make sense.
Well, you're going to shine. You won't have to blame the old fella anymore.
Well, I suppose it depends where you're camping as well and what kind of wood you've got. But I suppose, is it what's the hottest burning or the best? What do you think? There's a best kind of wood to use?
You mean like God's gift to those who cook?
Yeah, that's right.
That would have to be Gidgee. Would have to be right on the top of that list. So Gidgee's an acacia, and one of the acacia is actually a species that has the most flowering plants in Australia. There's more species of acacia or flowering trees than any other species. So our acacias are right up high, and Gidgee's right on the top of that list. So there's things like Gidgee, there's waddy, which is something you'll find out around Boulia. There's only 3 stands of waddy that fringe the Simpson Desert. Okay, and for that matter, about mid Queensland to mid New South Wales, there's a band of Gidgee that runs along the fringe of the Simpson Desert. So there's quite a bit of it out there. And just learning to identify that, which is, you pick it up pretty quick. Most people you talk to say, "Oh, look, we don't have any trouble with camp ovens," but we went out into around the fringe, around Charleville or Cunnamulla or somewhere like that, picked up this timber, burnt the bottom out of every pot we got. So hot. So once you pick it up and use it, it's not hard to identify what it is that you're using. But there's certainly a lot of hardwoods in Australia that produce great coals. Things like the good all-rounders, an iron bar, cooler bar is way up high on the list. It's fantastic. So from one end of Australia to the other, if you're familiar, you'll get good results. So Victoria, they have things like the Murray River red gum. It's one of the better timbers to use down there. And of course, in that dry band that runs around near Mildura, we get the good old mallee root.
Oh yes. Charlie's a big fan of the mallee root.
Yeah, you're down that way.
We are. We're in Melbourne, so yes.
Yeah, righto. Mallee root's fantastic. Yeah, really good to cook with. So it produces those nice hot coals that hold and burn right down to a white ash. So you know what they're going to do. You know how they're going to perform. All the guesswork's gone.
I see what you're saying. Yes. And is there I feel like I always put too much liquid because I feel like I'm simmering, but I saw you putting in like silverside with vegetables, and it didn't look like there was a lot of liquid. How do you do it?
Yeah, well, look, to be honest with you, about 10 years ago, there wasn't really anyone roasting silverside, but our corned meat, believe it or not, was one of the things that our early settlers used to use in the camp oven. So if you think back a couple of 100 years, when we didn't have refrigerators in our storage, what we'd do is we'd take a piece of meat, bury it in rock salt, it'd dehydrate, and it'd get very salty. So before we cooked it, we'd have boiling water, we'd chuck it in there for, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 minutes just to draw the salt out, rehydrate the meat, then it'd be placed into the camp oven and roasted. These days it's all cryovac, and the salt that's in that packet is all the salt that the meat can absorb. Yeah, so if it's done old school in a butchery where they have it in brine tanks, they pump it full of salt, that can get very salty. So it's probably a good idea to put it in hot water to draw that salt out before you roast it. But generally what's in cryovac packets can go straight into your camp oven, throw your veggies in. Keep in mind there's 80% water in vegetables and meat. So there's a lot of moisture already in there. So
right.
The lid's on, you've got a lot of moisture there. If you don't overheat the base, you can set that and forget it. So once your coals are burned down, your meal's ready. So an hour per kilo, just like any other roast, you're eating a lovely roast silverside with a wonderful taste. And you haven't boiled the guts out of it and had to put things like vinegar, honey, bay leaf to give it any flavour.
Yeah. Okay. Right. That's definitely on the list for Easter camping. Thank you.
Nicely.
And I saw you putting coals on top, and I know we've tried to do that in the past, but I don't know, it always gets really messy. But is it best to put the coals on top as well?
Look, I would highly recommend not to overheat the base. If you overheat the base of any pot, you just burnt the bung out of it. So putting heat on the lid is where you get that nice browning. So if you're baking or roasting or trying to do your crackle, the lid's a good place to put a lot of the heat. If you need more heat, it's better off up the sides than underneath.
Oh, okay. Right.
So if you refer to what you do in your kitchen at home, it's going to give you a good indicator of what your meal's doing in the camp oven. So I basically say to people, cook with your senses. So the 5 senses we have, or actually I say the 6 senses. The 6 senses I'm talking about, Joe, of course, is...
I don't know.
It's common sense.
Oh, God.
Using. So start using your common sense and utilise the knowledge you already have and use in your kitchen on a daily basis.
Right.
Okay? So let's cook a roast in our kitchen at home. For an example, when we cook a roast at home, we turn the oven on and preheat it to 200 degrees. Chuck your roast in, let it sear for a half an hour, 3/4 of an hour, and then turn the oven down to around 140, something like that, 120, and let it cook for an hour per kilo. Pretty common practice. Now, the beautiful thing about a camp oven is it doesn't have a knob on it, so you can't turn the heat down. But once we place coals onto it, what's happening to those coals is they're burning down, so it's losing heat itself. So I don't often preheat the oven. I just dump everything in because it's easier to handle, set it into the coals. It hits temperatures well over 200 degrees in that searing time. Yeah, so the first half an hour, 3/4 an hour is a good time to keep a bit of an eye on it. And what we're doing is we're going to look for things that are happening, or we're using all of our senses, we're not just looking, but if we were watching it, what might we be watching it for? What would it do in the kitchen at home?
Burn or bubble or what?
Hopefully not burn it.
No.
There's going to be smoke pouring out of it, isn't there?
Yeah.
Okay, and what are we going to smell?
Hopefully it smells pretty good. Well, if it's burning.
That's right, but with a burn...
Oh, yes, you can smell the burn, yeah.
We're going to smell the burn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our nose is going to pick up on that quite quickly. If we're in our kitchen at home, it's not even a second thought.
No.
Something's burning, go and address it, get back to what you're doing. Yeah?
Yes.
So very similar thing.
Right.
A little bit of a burn's probably not so bad at that start, in that searing time, okay? And that's what I like to focus on, is that searing time.
Right.
So I'm not seeing smoke, but I'm seeing steam puffing out from under the lid, and I get the pleasant aroma of my food cooking. What might I hear?
Bubbling?
A hissing or
hissing
sound?
Yes. I think I always hear bubbling because I've got too much liquid. So, yeah, okay, hissing, yep.
All right, but even so, bubbling, I never put moisture in the camp oven when I do a roast. As I said, there's enough moisture in there. So I'm not lifting the lid, letting all the heat and moisture out. I'm just setting it and forgetting it. That's a technique I like to promote and use.
Yeah.
Gives me more time out of the kitchen and on the riverbank fishing. So, what you didn't think you were going to get quizzed on this, did you?
No, I didn't. I didn't prepare for this at all.
All right. But they're common questions, and it's using your senses and the knowledge that you use in the kitchen every single day that you're comfortable with and quite confident with. So you might as well introduce them to the outdoor fire. So we're seeing steam, we're smelling the food, we're hearing a nice constant sizzling, doing everything that the kitchen at home or the roasting in the oven at home would do. Let's just leave it alone and go fishing. And of course we've got touch. Now, I'm not going to recommend to anybody to touch an oven that's going to hit temperatures over 200 degrees. Okay, I certainly don't recommend that. However, it's exactly what I do. There are options around that. If you preheat the oven, and baking a damp is a good example, we can cover that a little later. But if I put, let's say, a piece of baking paper into the camp oven, what happens to baking paper in my oven at home? Well, it discolours, Joe, doesn't it?
It does discolour.
Don't you bake at home, Joe?
I do, but I don't. Yeah, I suppose, yes, it does discolour, yes.
Okay, so it discolours. Great temperature for baking, yeah?
Yes.
What a wonderful indicator. So, smacko, we've got a nice heat there for baking. It's a good indicator the oven's a nice temperature. Yeah, common sense things that you use in your kitchen every day. Now I forgot what I was going to give you trouble over next. But you're picking up what I'm putting down there, yeah?
Yeah.
What you use in the kitchen every day. So, touch. That's what we were touching on, was touch.
Yes.
So there are ways around that, and indicators like paper in there is a good one. Some people I've seen set their oven, they do this funny little dance all around it. Yeah?
Yes.
So the insides of your arms, the insides of your legs are very sensitive parts of your body. It's a good indicator of how much heat is coming off that oven.
Yeah.
Yeah? So you can get familiar that way. Some people get how do I say this? Spooker? Do you know what spooker is?
No.
It's spit. So they grab a big golly and they flick it on the side of the oven. If it goes and jumps off, well, that's a very hot oven. But if it just goes and slides down, probably not hot enough for roasting.
Right.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you don't like the thought of flicking a golly on there, then wet your fingers and just flick a little bit of water on the side and it'll give you a similar indication.
Yes.
Yeah. Personally, myself, I've got used to, because I started cooking when I was a small boy. I'm from quite a large family. I'm baby of 10. And if you wanted to see Dad, you were up the paddock working with him. So midday at lunch, we'd light a fire. Sometime mid-afternoon, someone had the job of going and setting a camp oven for dinner. And then get your sorry tail back here, ring barking trees or digging post holes. So you weren't to hang around the camp. So you quickly learned to control that heat, or you had a lot of cleaning to do and cop the flack from everyone in the camp. So what I learned to do was put the back of my knuckles or the back of my hand, my fingers, just touch the side of the oven. So if I stick my hand or touch the side of the oven with my knuckles, and all my knuckles stuck to the side of the camp oven, that was obviously too hot. Yeah. If I could touch it and not hold my hand there, just less than a second, just touch and go, whoa, that's pretty hot. That's a pretty good indicator I'm reaching the right temperatures. But if I can hold my hand there for maybe a second or two, especially for this searing time I like to focus on whilst roasting, not quite hot enough. Okay, so I don't recommend touch. There are other things you can do, but that's a technique that I've picked up from when I was a small boy.
Yeah, right. Wow. And you did mention damper, and I know one of your cookbooks has got 101 different kinds of damper. That seems like a lot of damper. But do you cook that in the camp oven as well, or do you? I saw in your Guinness Book of Records one that was obviously you couldn't put that in the camp oven, but you wrap that in foil. But what's the best way to do damper if you're not doing 153 meters?
Foil, but there was foil involved just to keep the ash off it and things like that. But look, damper's one of the most simplest things to do. It's a great place to start if you're a novice or a learner, having your first goes. Bag of flour is only a couple of dollars, so we can burn that. It's not so bad. And it's only glue. It's only flour, salt, water, so it's no real big drama, dampers. So the world record damper that we cooked actually weighed just under 400 kilos, 393.24 kilos or something like that cooked. So it was 153.002 metres long, and what impressed me the most is it was all one colour.
Wow.
I know, that's pretty consistent heat. I was very chuffed by that. So basically, when you cook a damper or you want to do a perfect damper, we'll go back to what we've been talking about a bit with discoloration in things.
Yes.
Set your camp oven and preheat it. Okay, I never do this because you will get very familiar and won't feel a need to. But if you preheat your oven and throw a couple of handfuls of flour, maybe a quarter of a cup of flour in the bottom.
Oh.
If you can brown that flour and get it to hold, it's a perfect temperature for baking. If the flour is brown, your baking will be brown. If the flour is black, what colour is your baking likely to be?
Black.
Absolutely. You see, you're picking it up. You're a fast learner, Joe.
Yes.
All right, so that's one of the best ways I find to cook a damper. Now, if you set it like that, preheat the oven, brown your flour, and you leave that in there for, and I'm talking about around about a half a kilo, maybe up to a kilo of flour, in around about 20 minutes, you'll have a cooked damper. Okay? If you leave it for another 5 minutes, it'll get a nice crust, nice brown crust. If you leave it up to about half an hour, you're going to have a nice, thick, crunchy crust, and that's kind of how I like damper. So from 20 to 30 minutes, you should have a nicely cooked damper to your liking. And if you can pick it up and give it a tap, it'll be hot. But pick it up and give it a tap, it'll sound like a ripe watermelon, have a nice hollow sound. And if you simply just grab a stick, a skewer, a knife, something like that, and poke it straight into the middle of the damper, when you pull it out, if it has dough on it, then it's not quite cooked. How many grandmothers have told you that over the years with scones and the like?
Oh, definitely a chocolate cake for sure.
Yeah. Again, we're going back to knowledge that we already know, and we're applying it to the open fire.
Great. Thank you. You've cleared a lot of things up. I feel like, though, a couple of years ago we used our camp oven and we put fruit in it and it feels like it's tainted the cast iron. Can you even though we've cleaned it, is there a way of looking after the camp oven? Do you think we can come back from that?
Look, the best way, yeah, absolutely. The best way to use it's a bit like a hot plate on your barbecue. The more you use it, the better it gets. There's a process or a bit of a chemical reaction, I guess, for lack of a better description. I'm not real studious, so I spent most of my time on the outside looking in when I was at school. But the process is polymerization. So any fats, like from butter or oil or suet or anything like that, when it comes to a point where it begins to smoke, it will polymerize. Okay, and what that does is it puts a layer on the camp oven and seals it off, and it will actually eventually give you a nice non-stick surface. I I've got a skillet here that I use most days. I've had it since I was 8 years old. My mum bought it for me when I started boy cubs. Okay, and it's had a lot of abuse. But over the years, I've learned to use the control the heat well, and it's like a non-stick surface, so I can fry an egg at it and just tip it off.
Wow.
So the more you use it, the better it'll actually get.
Okay.
If you do have an occasion where you've either overheated it and lost that seasoning or polymerisation, or you put things like tomato or an acidic fruit in there, and it may have taken some of that off, don't stress out over it. Either keep using it or give it a very thin layer of oil or fat or whatever you like to use, either animal fats or butter or anything like that, and just re-season it a couple of times and it's ready to go again. You'll have this piece of cookware for a lifetime and more. It can go right down to your grandkids and keep going. I've got ovens here that are, over 100 years old.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Good to know. And now just tell me about your curry kits. Do you use those in the camp oven as well? That's for adding to stews or things, I presume?
Most certainly. What you cook in your kitchen at home, anything, even pavlova, you'll cook in a camp oven. Okay, so the curry kits they're a great example of, getting backed into a corner, I guess. with the 5-letter C word, I like to call it, because I don't like to be rude. So the 5-letter C word was a real kick in the butt for us, or for me, because it was just 3 years without an income, and in that time I went, holy heck, what am I going to do here? So I happened to be sniffing around, looking in cookbooks all the time, as I do, and right at the back of the bookshelf, I found this dusty, grubby little book that was Grandma's recipes, and she happened to be an Indian grandmother. So I started going through it and picked out a few recipes to play with. I went, wow, you know what? This is so good. It's better than what I can get at a restaurant.
Wow. So
I started sniffing around, and I sourced some great Australian products. So it's all Australian product. This seems a little bit strange, I guess, Indian curries from Australia. A little bit ironic. But I sourced the best quality spices I can get my hands on and put these blends together and simplified the cooking methods. So and certainly tailed them for the camp oven around the fire. So you're eating better than restaurant quality meals with no preservatives, all Australian product, simple cooking techniques, and better than restaurant quality.
Sounds good. Yeah.
How's that sounding, Joe?
It sounds delicious. I can't wait to get out camping.
Yes. Have you ever been to India?
I have been to India, yes.
You have?
Well, yes. Oh gosh, I'm lost for words. He outsmarted himself. Here's where you can try the curries and get it India. Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. And I was interested too in, you're a guru of camp oven cooking, bush cooking, and environmental etiquette. What does, tell me about environmental etiquette.
That's all come with, well, I certainly have an affinity to the outdoors. So over the years, I've gone from being a labourer to having a nasty back injury, and what the heck am I going to do? So I actually went to school and studied, or to TAFE, and I ended up in the tourism industry and got into a position where I was 2IC in the environmental department for Skyrail International Tourism Management.
Wow.
Great place to work and a lovely place to visit. If you're ever in North Queensland, go for a ride on the cableway. One thing led to another in a chain of unfortunate events, I guess. I ended back down in my hometown of Miles in southwest Queensland, lovely little spot. What happened there? I ended up jagging a job with Education Queensland at an environmental education centre. So the affinity that I had with botany and the environment around me, I got to study and get paid for. So it was absolutely marvellous having that connection with the outdoors, and I had to take a different look at it, because I guess when you look at our forefathers, there were certainly some horrible practices with farming and falling trees and all that sort of thing. So now I have much more appreciation and try and pass that appreciation on to people that I meet. So in this case, what I do now, it's a lot to do with, I guess, like I get a kick out of botany, so I see a lot of humour in some things. For example, Lang Lang. Are you familiar with Lang Lang? Chanel No. 5, one of the most sought after perfumes in the world.
Yes.
Is made from Lang Lang, right? So its botanical name is Pongella odorata, which I know, right? So I find that quite amusing, and that's how I've learnt to remember a lot of things, because I'm not real bright. I'm only a dumb country boy, right? So it's nice to be able to talk to people. I think laughing's learning, and especially working with the school kids in an outdoor environment, it was good to get them laughing and having a joke about all these things. And they took home a lot more information. It seemed to soak in than just writing on a blackboard and go, 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 2 is 4, you know. So I just find it's a good way to educate people if they're having a bit of fun. So I like to throw things like that in about different species and trees. Like Digi itself is actually known as stinking wattle.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, right? And it's the reason why it's known as that is right before a storm, it gets this horrible smell. It smells a lot like cat wee, actually.
Lovely.
So if you've ever had a tomcat squirt up your front door, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's one of the things I did. And it's kind of amusing. A lot of it's irrelevant and useless information, but it's quite interesting and it gets people in. So I try to focus on, okay, while we're out and about, let's not just look for a pretty place to camp. Let's notice what timber's around, because we want to be some cooking and we don't want a hard job. Because some timbers, especially along the east coast, you'll get a nice bed of coals, but as soon as you shift those coals and put them on the lid of your oven, 10 minutes or so, they go out. They lose all their heat. Have you had that happen, Joe?
Yes, I have, yes.
It's very frustrating, and it's a lot of work trying to keep coals up to your oven.
Yes.
So there's other techniques that you can use with that as well, but it's a good example of, you know, getting to know what's around you and take more notice, like the sights, the sounds, those sorts of things. People are so caught up in their day-to-day rituals, or grind, if you will, but they forget to turn their senses on when they get out camping, and they miss so much. Songbirds when you want to listen, wildflowers when you want to see. So they miss a lot. So I try to say, you know, and leave it as you find it. There's a environmentally, I mean, sure, everyone's heard it, but, you know, take nothing but photos, leave nothing but footprints. So every time I drive away from a campsite, I always like to look back on it, and I get much pride when I can look back and say, gosh, you can hardly see that I've been there, except for a, you know, 18-inch round patch on the ground where I've lit a fire. And then we get into fire, so that's another big issue. A lot of people have the fear of fire, and it can be very scary and dangerous, I have to say. So learning to control that environment and knowing where you actually can light a fire within national parks or freehold land or caravan parks, wherever you're travelling and like to stay, free camps, all that type of stuff. Let's leave it so that we make minimal impact. So good timber's a good example. I don't need a big heap of wood if I've got good timber, so I don't need a roaring fire. And I'm leaving nothing behind. So it's a practice that I pride myself on. The less I can see where I've been, the better I feel that I've impacted haven't impacted the environment. Instead of revving and skidding in your four-wheel drive, well, how about let's make sure we've got traction so we're not driving with our right foot so much.
Yes.
Sometimes it's unavoidable, but just little things like that. So, you know, take a little bit of notice of what impact you do have while you're out there and try and minimise that.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice, and we are lucky to have so much in our back garden, so to speak. Even from the big cities, it's easy to get out into some really beautiful places, and as you say, it's important to respect that as well.
Absolutely, respect what's around you and respect others as well.
Yes.
Don't go starting your damn generator at 8 o'clock at night. Thank you very much.
Oh, I know. They're terrible, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Look, people often say to me, Joe, you know, like, because I often look for free camps, and I'm not going to give away all my secrets here, but often when I find the free camp, I'll look around, and there's usually a road that heads off into nowhere. I usually go for a bit of a look up that road, and provided I'm not on someone's place where I'm going to upset anyone by being on their property or anything like that, I'll go away from everybody.
Yes.
And people say, don't you get a bit scared out there all on your own? You know, don't you have a fear of what might be there? I say, well, don't you have a fear of who might be camped right beside you? It might be an axe-wielding maniac. You don't even know who it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
And another good little tip, and I shouldn't give this one away, but I'm going to, because not many people have the guts enough to do it, but I often, if I'm stuck, I'll have a look for a cemetery. Cemeteries are great places to camp. There's fresh water, there's a toilet.
Yeah, look,
people below the ground have never given me any trouble.
I'm not sure that I could do that, but you're quite right. And well, look, thank you, Ranger Nick. This has been, I've learnt so much just from our conversation. So we are going camping at Easter, and we're going to put all these things into practice. All the best for the 28th of April. Is that the night you're going? Is that when?
I'm not sure that I'll be able to attend
because
we have got a fair bit on starting April. We'll be heading down to Kuriong first, actually, for the Man from Snowy River Festival.
Oh, yes. Great.
Yeah, so that's a biggie, and yeah, we've got quite a bit going on there, so I'll either be exhausted and what have you, and I'm not sure that my lovely PA has actually booked tickets for that, to be honest with you, so I'm not sure if we'll actually be attending.
No.
But I'm certainly looking forward to see how I went, and hopefully I'll end up with a trophy from it. We'll see how we go.
Well, it's a really great achievement already, and I feel very lucky to have got to have spoken to you today, so thank you for your time. I hope you can put your feet up and relax now.
Absolute joy, Joe. It's been a pleasure talking to you as well. But yeah, thanks for the time on the air, and I guess all I can say is I'll see you when the mud's dry, and hope to see you around a campfire one day.
Great. All right.
I'll let you cook if you like.
Oh, thanks. Sure.
Yeah. A lot of my mates actually say to me, before I go, I'll sneak this in, a lot of my mates now say to me, so you like cooking? And I go, well, not necessarily that I like cooking, but I like eating.
That's right. All right, well, all the best.
Thank you very much, Joe. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Conversation with a Chef with Ranger Nick. You can go to www.rangernickbushcook.com for recipes and videos. If you liked what you heard and you want to hear about some other chefs, I'm on Instagram at Conversation with a Chef, and you can read the chat at www.conversationwithachef.com. I would love it if you told a friend about my chats, and you can follow me on Apple and Spotify podcasts. Once again, thanks for listening and have a wonderful day.